In today's video, we're going to show you how to remove and refit a wheel on a car safely. We also have another video on the channel, how to safely jack the car up to get it into this position, so you can check that out in the link below. So the options to remove the wheel are laid out in front of us. We have the breaker bar. We also have a quicker option to the breaker bar, which is this impact gun. These are a socket set specifically made for your alloy wheels. They have a protective coating on them to make sure you don't damage the paint on the alloys themselves. You also want to make sure you have the locking wheel nut key for your car so that you can remove the locking wheel nut bolt or nut if the wheel nuts have been broken free while the car was on the ground. Option 1 would be to use the breaker bar. We've already brought the wheel nuts free, so now we're just winding them out with the breaker bar in this position. Option 2 would be to use the impact gun, and this is a much quicker option, as you'll see in a moment. So on this car, it's actually wheel bolts, whereas on a car with wheel nuts, you would have the thread of the wheel studs holding the wheel on. As that isn't the case on this particular model, I'm going to pin the wheel to the hub whilst I remove the last wheel bolt. In refitting the wheel, we want to make sure it's up correctly against the brake disc itself or the hub so that we can get that first wheel nut on or that first wheel bolt in nice and easy. I have here the first wheel bolt. I'm going to put this in by hand. This reduces the risk of cross-threading the wheel bolt or the threads on the wheel nut itself. So the wheel's now back on, the vehicle's on the floor, so we're now able to torque the wheel nuts up properly, and we've set it to the specified torque that the manufacturer sets for this specific vehicle. Now at this stage, it's not good practice to use the gun, as that could over-torque the wheel bolts or the wheel nuts and could potentially strip the threads or leave you in a position where the wheel is too tight to remove at the roadside should you need to swap out for a spare wheel. In tightening the wheel bolts up to the correct torque, we did that in a star pattern, again to ensure that the correct amount of torque is equally distributed on this wheel when attaching it back to the car. Once you've used the torque wrench, remember to wind it back free so that we're not keeping the same amount of tension on the springs or the mechanism within the torque wrench. In doing so, we're not keeping the components within the torque wrench under tension, which over time can reduce the accuracy of the torque wrench itself. So that's how to safely remove and refit a wheel on a given car. Obviously do check the manufacturer's recommended guidelines for torque settings on the wheel nuts or wheel bolts depending on that particular model. If you did like this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to Silverline Tools for more how-to videos like this one, and check out the Silverline range for more tools so that you can do your own DIY projects.